Good morning and welcome to another episode of the America Safe, America Strong webinar series hosted by The Blueprint. My name is Derek Miller. I'm the president of the firm, and today's 20-minute safety solution is presented by Mathew Levine, certified podorthist with Implus. Look, with more than 20 years experience in the running and fitness industry, Mathew has trained over 350 fit experts on gait analysis, shoe and insole fitting, and custom insole fabrication. In his career, in fact, Mathew has conducted over 100,000 gait analysis with shoe and insole fitting. Needless to say, he's a stone cold expert, and we're in for a real treat today. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had neck pain, back pain, sore knees and ankles, fatigued legs, and core muscles? Did you know that a large and often overlooked leading factor is actually right under your feet? Having the correct insoles, or what we like to say is anti-fatigue matting, right on your shoes, having that for your feet is it not only can make you and your workforce more comfortable and productive, but they can really be a game changer for your overall quality of life in general. I mean, take it from me, I've got low arches, and so I tend to pronate, and I wear a Spinco total support insole, and my back, my joints, my muscles, they don't ache nearly as much. I'm not nearly as chronically fatigued, and I'm able to stay at peak performance not only in my professional life, but in my personal life as well. And so over the next few minutes, you're going to learn, you're going to get a high level overview of this really important topic. And then you'll begin to understand some solutions to this very common and often overlooked problem. So look, if you've not been here before, here's what's going to happen. Over the next 10-ish minutes, Matthew's going to spend some time reviewing these problem and solutions that we have in our everyday lives. And then we're going to turn our attention over to you and your questions with the Blueprint's marketing director, Jessica Morante. Now, on the left side of your screen, as always, there's a chat box. You can type in your questions there, and we'll get to as many of those as time permits. Also, on the left-hand side of your screen, there's a handouts tab. You're going to find downloadable documents and sales sheets and even a contacts page for all of your Blueprint and Implus team members. So following today's session, we're going to send an email recapping the meeting, and we're going to answer all those unaddressed questions. So with this, we are super excited to share this impactful safety solution with you today. Just kick back, relax as Mathew and Jessica take you through today's 20-minute safety solution. Mathew?
Hey, thanks, Eric. Thanks, everybody. So happy to be on. So happy to share a lot about insoles and how important they are to live not just a better workday, but to live a better life. So the thing I like to start with is just a core base of knowledge and one fact that always blows people away, and that our feet are three-dimensional, okay? We have three different arches in our feet. There's curvatures. If I grab my bony foot, like there's nothing flat on here about the human foot. The problem is that we now live in a two-dimensional world, aka concrete, flat surfaces, hardwood, you name it. The world is now flat. Our bodies were not engineered for this surface. So what do? Well, we've got to put something in our footwear that creates that three-dimensional surface to support our foot so that it can actually ambulate or walk smoother than it had walking just on a two-dimensional surface. So that's our first fact. That's our first big takeaway, that if we can own that we have a three-dimensional foot and we're walking on a flat surface all day long, and then if we don't support that correctly, things go off, right? Eventually we start leaning on one side more than the other. We build up imbalances. Our legs start to drop in one more than the other. It tweaks our hips. It can go all the way up to our neck. So it is so vital to keep this balance throughout the day as we walk on this two-dimensional surface. And the second thing I like to add to this discussion, or to that fact, is that the dirty little secret of boots, shoes, whether it's dress or casual, or high-end athletic running shoes, is they can have the best technology in the world for cushioning on the outsole, or maybe a nice lightweight upper, or maybe it's got premium leather that really protects the foot, or it's a fire retardant, or what have you on the outsole, you name it. All kinds of technology on the outside. On the inside, it's just like the 2D world we walk on all day long. They're flat as pancakes, right? There is no technology or any cost associated with technology for insoles that come with the shoes we wear when we go to the shoe store and we buy a shoe off the wall. There's nothing there. There's no technology. So we need to tip our hat and understand that aftermarket insoles play a pivotal role, an imperative role towards fitting into a work shoe, a lifestyle shoe, you name it. You want to get something in there that is above and beyond what comes with the shoe generically. Because what comes with the shoe generically has no technology, there's no shock absorption, and if you do feel something at first, well, it's going to deaden out and flatten out within 5 or 10 minutes. There's just no tech there. The only feature that these foam inserts are designed to do is so that you do not feel the stitching of the upper of the footwear connecting to the midsole of the footwear. That's it. Functionally, there's no other feature. So we know we've got flat shoes and we're walking on flat surfaces. So enter aftermarket insoles, right? Custom orthotics, if you want to go to the medical route. That's the fancy name for them. So knowing these facts, what do we do? There's so many insoles. You go to every store, there's just this huge swath of insoles, different colors, brands. This is where information like this is so key, is that we can break this all down. It's actually not as complicated as people make it out to be. When you talk about aftermarket insoles and the need for them, it really starts in medical, okay? So if you were to come into a clinic and I was to fit you and fit a prescription coming from a podiatrist, I'm gonna fit you into an insole that's accommodative or very soft in nature, that's just gonna make things more comfortable. So there's no stiff technology here, no plastic. It's just nice, soft foam. Typically it's for diabetics. Or I'm gonna fit you for materials that are gonna be a little bit firmer and a little bit more functional over on this side. They're going to affect the function of my foot. So these are the two insoles that start with a basic of medical technology, and now they trickle down to aftermarket off-the-shelf products. And the cool thing about working at Implus and being a part of the Implus team is we carry every aftermarket insole in this entire sliding scale at every price level. So entry level, bang for your buck, our premium materials, we carry it all. When you talk about AirPlus and Soft Comfort, those are our entry level brands. And then you talk about Soft Sole, best bang for your buck in the market, hyper competitive with its technology and being cheaper than every competitor that's out there. And then our premium kind of Ferrari insoles, Spenco. And we have a couple of feature products that we'll talk to as well. So when we talk about sliding scale, let me show you guys some off-the-shelf products. So when we start at the far left, the accommodative, well, we've got a gel insole, right? So these insoles are very soft by nature. And what these do, and what these are great for, are people who just need a little bit more cushioning, okay? So why would someone just need more cushioning? Well, there's things called fat pad atrophy. Long story short, as we all age, the fat will thin out in our heel and in our forefoot, right? Our metatarsal heads, if you want to get technical. As that fat deteriorates and spreads out, our body will start to develop these calluses as a defense mechanism, which is really uncomfortable and starts to ultimately push against nerves. And if you've ever had any kind of nerve pain in the forefoot, you know what I'm talking about. So you need to add something into your shoe that's going to mimic that fat padding. Well, gel works great for that. As far as an entry-level cushion system, this is about as good as it gets for an accommodative technology. So now we're going to slide the scale over, and we're going to just keep moving up the line here. So now we're over here. We've got memory foam. Excellent for shock absorption. It's a little bit thicker. There's a little bit more to this. So it's going to functionally perform the same way as gel, but there's more cushioning, more shock absorption with the memory foam. So a little bit more cost as well. But man, you want to talk about adding just a layer of comfort in a boot off the shelf versus what comes with the boot. Amazing upgrade here, and it's relatively inexpensive. Now we're going to keep sliding that scale, getting more functional. Here we go. So now we're getting into Spenco, okay? This is the Polysorb Heavy Duty. This is a product that is fully cushioned heel to forefoot, but if you notice, if I can wiggle the, there you go, you can see that arch support in there. This is a firmer material, and it's also got a heel cup that's also going to control the foot a little bit more so than those first two insoles. So now we're adding functional changes to the way the insole interacts with your foot. And as we continue to slide, we're going to see the functionality go up Okay. So now we've got another product. This is the Air Orthotic from Softsole. Look at this. Fully cushioned insole, but man, we've got a very supportive plastic bridge in here. Look at all that arch support. And look at that heel cupping. So when you talk about insoles that are functional and cushioned, and I'll show you one more here, super deep heel pocket. This is the ground control from Spenco. So similar philosophy, right? Look at how much arch support. Look at how deep that heel cup is. These are insoles, especially if you're a boot wearer. Having control in the heel is paramount. Boots are so heavy and so stiff that if you have any kind of flexibility or splay in your foot that isn't perfect, well, the heavier and the stiffer the shoe, the worse off it's going to make that function. So I've got to control that foot. Like if you come into clinic and I fit you, I really want to control your heel to get that foot stable inside of that boot. So I'm going to lean you more towards functional technologies like this Air Orthotic or this ground control. And then finally, as we slide to the right, we've got the total support. You know, Derek talked about it at the start of the zone. Like, I too, so I have very flat feet as well. So I need a lot of support. So if you notice here, here's the key call out on this insole, are very supportive insoles, very functional insoles. A lot of support around the heel, very stiff, deep heel cup. So as that heel plops in here, there's just no opportunity for it to move around inside the shoe. So I just couldn't imagine wearing a work shoe, work boot, or stand around working in a casual or an athletic shoe without something like this inside my shoe, knowing that I have in either an imbalance or a very flexible foot. You've got to add that in there. It's just key. When you balance yourself out, you stabilize the knees, which stabilizes the hips, shoulders, all the way up to the neck. And if you've worn these before, like Derek has had, like that's first-person accounts. I hear those stories all the time that it's literally like flipping a light switch on. It's life-changing stuff. And when we talk about the need for, let's say, safety mats in the workspace, right? Well, I would push back there and say, you know what? Let's first address the mechanics of the feet inside the boots, stabilize our body, get our posture correct, and make sure our weight is distributed evenly within our footwear, and then see how my workforce is doing. 9 times out of 10, that's all it takes. You fit the insole appropriately, you fit the foot well inside of the boot, you're good to go. So that's really the key call out with boots and with work shoes is, man, fit the foot first. Take that extra time to fit your foot inside of that boot. When you do that, you can really get some benefit to your body, to your overall health. And really the key call out, the thing I'll end on before we take some Q&A here, are insoles that I like to feature within boots. And I talked about it for 1 sec, but let me go slightly deeper before I wrap. And that's this ground control insole. This is the one that I've had so much success with fitting people in work boots, military personnel, firefighters, you name it. If you're wearing those heavy duty boots, look how deep of a heel cup this has. This is an off-the-shelf insole. And usually you can't get this kind of results or this type of fit with a custom orthotic. And this is an off-the-shelf product. This is a premium footbed that, man, we originally designed this for runners and walkers, but the benefit for boot wearers is through the roof. Amazing control, excellent cushioning, just a great lightweight insole to add to any boot wear or any safety boot wear that you have in the market. So with that, I'll wrap. There's so much more to talk about, but to give you guys a high level, just kind of rapid fire, what I deal with day in and day out and what I look at and how I teach my philosophies towards fitting feet. That's it in a nutshell. And I know there's a lot of questions and answers coming in, so I'll turn it over to Jessica and Derek, and we can do a little back and forth.
Thank you, Matthew. That was an awesome presentation. Super cool, the different insoles that you guys have to offer. So as you mentioned, we did receive some questions via the chat box.
Okay.
And we do have a few minutes left in our webinar, so we're going to get right into those. You ready?
Okay, great.
Okay. The first question we received is, wearing insoles seems uncomfortable. How long should it take to adjust to the feel of them in my shoes?
Yeah, perfect question. Great one. So if our feet are used to doing this all day long, let's say there's an imbalance, one foot's dropping in more than the other, you have to push back, right? You have to, I don't want to say fight, but you really do need to fight that foot to get it to realign itself. That's not something by and large, that feels phenomenal the second you wear it. Like you'll feel that difference in support right away, like a light bulb turning on. But you want to get the foot and the whole body slowly acclimated to that sensation, to that feeling. What I'll recommend, the conservative way to do it is always the safest way to do it. Day 1, wear it for an hour, take it out. Day 2, 2 hours, so on and so forth, until you're at about a week. And then when you can go about 6 or 7 hours without noticing it, and actually you'll notice the difference when it's not in there, that's when you know you're good to go and your foot is now acclimated to all of that support.
Okay, great advice. Next question that we got is, when do I know it's time to replace my insoles?
Yeah, great one. So if we're speaking about averages, typically around 2 to 3 shoe lives is how long they last. If you're someone who likes to pull out your insole and take a look at it a lot, and you should be anyway because you want to clean it too. But if you're looking at it, you want to look for dead spots in the forefoot. This is always the thinnest part of insoles, and so if you're going to burn anything out or wear anything down, typically it's around the big toe area. So when you start to see the top cover start to wear out, or you start to build these circles, essentially if there's a flat spot in there, or you're wearing out that top cover in the forefoot, you know it's time for it to go. So let's say it's just past your first shoe and you've worn it down, swap it out. Like, don't follow to a T the 2 to 3 shoe lives. Some of us wear out insoles faster than others. It just depends on how hard we are, what we're doing day in and day out with the insole inside of our shoe. Some people can wear it, 3 years and they're fine. Some people 6 months. You just have to take note. When you pull it out, look at those wear spots in the forefoot. It'll always tell the story.
Okay, perfect. Next question we got. Should you have a separate type of insole for different types of shoes? Running shoes versus work boots, for example.
Yeah, the honest answer is that it depends. Depends on how well you're doing with that first insole that you know and love. I would typically tell people, especially if it's a functional insole, like the insoles we talked about here, the ground control and the total support. If you're wearing those types of insoles that have a lot of support to them, I would say the safe bet is to keep that one insole and either buy multiple pairs of it or just swap it in and out. Typically, you don't want to have different feels if you found one that works really well. The key thing to call out is make sure that in your boots, your work shoes, and your athletic shoes, that you're always pulling out the generic insole and putting these in place of it. So if you do that, that's when I always tell people, like, if you can afford it, of course, everybody's budget's different, but if you can afford it, get one pair of insoles that you know and love and put them in all of those shoes that have removable footbeds, and you're totally dialed in.
Okay, perfect. Next question we got is, if you can move one pair of insoles to multiple shoes,
you can.
Can you move one?
Yeah, you can, and that really ties into the last question too. It's smart to, if you can only afford one pair, I typically want to give that foot the same balance and the same support in all of my footwear. The call out and the watch out is dress shoes, right? So as we're returning to the workplace, if we're wearing dress shoes or casual athletic shoes, athleisure shoes, what have you, and there's not a lot of volume to fit an insole, be careful with that. And don't wear those as much as you wear the shoes that have the insoles in there. So the long story short is you want to wear it as much as possible, and if that requires you taking it out and putting it into other footwear, as long as it has that insole that can come out, you can get it in and you're good to go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so we have time for just one more question. So our last question for today is going to be, can insoles be a replacement for anti-fatigue matting?
Yes, and that's a question I get a lot when I do safety and hardware clinics and lectures, is that as I wrapped my 10-minute spiel, is that if you support the foot appropriately inside of a work boot, let's say you're working the work line or you're at a construction zone and you're standing there sawing logs all day, anti-fatigue matting is a lot like a cushioned insole. There's going to be shock absorption there, like that's just kind of a given. But if you have misalignment in your body and you're not accounting for some kind of tweak to your body and the balance in the joints and the hips, the shoulders, the neck, the knees, the feet, what have you, that is the most important thing. So when you support that appropriately and you have an insole that traps the foot and keeps it in a proper position to balance out the body, it's amazing what it can do for comfort. You can stand in boots all day long. I could tell you guys thousands of stories about successful outcomes with military personnel in particular, and how bad the insoles are that come with those boots. And when they switch to a solid insole, they can stand at attention for 8, 10, 12 hours without feeling a thing. I mean, it can have that kind of an impact. So is it good to have both? Of course. But if I'm going to start somewhere, I'm absolutely going to start fitting that foot perfectly inside of that work boot with an insole. That's the way to go.
Perfect. Mathew, well, thank you so much for your time today. I think we all really learned a lot about the different types of insoles that you guys offer. Now we're going to bring Derek back out to close us out. Thank you so much, Mathew.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, Mathew, I mean, this was such an awesome presentation, and it's just so important. You know, I mean, I wear the Spinco Total Support, and to Mathew's point, I've got multiple pairs. They're in my dress shoes, they're in my running shoes, they're in my golf shoes, and I mean, I can really fundamentally, again, like you said, I can tell the difference when they're not in there, and it's just made a huge impact on my life. I really encourage everyone listening and on this call to take us up on this challenge here and try this out for yourself, for your workforce, for your family. It really does make a big impact on your overall quality of life. So Mathew, again, thank you very much for being here. And Jessica, thank you for the questions. Remember, guys, tomorrow you're going to receive an email follow-up email recapping the meeting. We'll get to any of those unaddressed questions that we didn't have time for. We'll also be announcing the winner of the free giveaway. So be looking out for that. Most of you have done this, but if you haven't done so yet, check out our website. Go over to teamblueprint.com. There's an America Safe, America Strong tab there. Sign up for these complimentary webinars. You'll get access to this webinar and our growing vault of safety solutions. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for all of your time and all of your attention. Stay tuned for the next episode of the America Safe, America Strong webinar series. Stay safe, stay strong, and go America.